Hey, the Thabreakmasta here. This is gonna be my Nazo no Kanojo X, aka Mysterious Girlfriend X, episode 12 review. Man, I can't express this enough how much I love this show. Oh man, this seriously, I don't know. This episode right here is just like wow. So yeah, it's a really good episode this week, and so basically we start off with Oka and Urabe, and Oka just suggesting that Tsubaki, how's he been after all that, stuff was going on? Because he did see you naked, so, he could have, thoughts in his head, thinking about you naked every time he sees you now, and, he probably can't get off his head. That's all he's thinking about, probably. And then the funny thing is, Urabe actually didn't think about that, because, he did see her naked, so she didn't really think about it, but she's like, huh, that's true, huh. But she's like, I didn't really think about it. It's like, I bet you're trying to think about it, well, not think about it, but, saying all that stuff. And she also wanted to know about the scissors thing, and, she's like, I don't just throw the scissors. I don't use the scissors just for anything. I don't use scissors for nothing. I don't just cut for no reason. And so then apparently Oka had a naked picture of Urabe at that time. She took a picture, and it was weird how I saw this. It was so weird. So, Urabe had a bunch of motion all of a sudden. She's like, hey, give me that back. Give me it back. And she starts screaming and stuff, and like, give me that. Give me it. You don't need that picture. And she's like, no, it's my picture. I'm gonna cherish it forever. It's gonna be my own personal treasure. And she's like, no. So she ends up going the scissors thing and starts cutting it all up. And then Oka's like, wow, that's amazing. I don't know how you're doing that, but I'm curious how you're doing that stuff. She really is impressed by the whole scissors thing that Urabe does. So after all that was all done, we end up seeing Tsubaki and Urabe walking home like they normally do and everything like that. But you can see Tsubaki just that's all he can think about. He's like always a one-track mind person. If he does something with Urabe, he can't get that out of his mind at all. But hey, I can't blame him for this one. Come on. So he just had that all in his mind. He kept looking down at her, and then you can see no clothes on her basically, and he's like, oh crap, oh crap. He's like, I gotta hold it in because he really wants to hug her and stuff. Grab onto her, do other things. I'm trying to say. So he's just like, I gotta hold it in. I got to hold it in, and Tsubaki's like, here's your portion, and he's like, oh, yeah, okay. He ends up taking the portion of the saliva that he normally does, but then she actually asks, can I taste your saliva this time? And he's like, no, not today, not today, maybe some other time. And then she's like, hey, look over there, and then she ends up taking spit out of his mouth, and then puts it in her mouth, and then she has a sensation all of a sudden. She's feeling like very, really, really hot, and her heart is pounding and stuff, and she's like, she don't know what's going on, and it's like, what the heck's happening? And so she ends up going home and having that same kind of that thought in her mind, and it's still there. It didn't even go away after the whole sharing the spit thing. It's still in her heart. She still feels it. Her heart's still pounding. It's like, what the heck's going on? So she's wondering what's going on with the whole feelings towards that. And so, like I said, the next day they end up sharing spit and everything like that again and everything. But this time when they shared spit, after when Robbie gave him spit, he ended up having this weird dizzy sensation because he kept thinking about her naked the whole time, right? But this time all of a sudden it's like he couldn't see a clear vision of her, and it's like foggy in her head, in his head, because apparently Robbie was feeling that way, and it's weird. I don't know exactly why she was feeling that way for some reason. And so that's what's going on right there. It's a weird sensation that was going on, and like that. And so one of the times, before one of those times happened, we end up going back to Oka and Ueno, but basically they're at school basically, and Tsubaki ends up coming. No, that's before. So you don't go too far back. Go back a little bit. Basically, Urabe ends up using the scissors thing actually, because he hugged her and stuff, and then he ends up bringing out his handkerchief trying to cut it, and then Urabe tries to cut it and stuff, right? It ends up just chopping it all away. And then after that, he ended up having this little blood spot on his head. He started bleeding, and it's like, oh crap. She was really, really shocked by that. Oh no, I almost forgot that part. But she's like really, 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 really shocked by that. She's like, oh my god, I am so sorry. Come to my house. I'm gonna treat your wound. And he's like, come to your house? It's okay. And he's like, okay, I can't believe this. Like he's already having these kind of thoughts of, I want to rob it. I want to bam, bam, bam all over her. But you know what I'm trying to say. So he ended up going to her house. And he tried to make himself at home. He's by her bed again because she told him to go in her room, and so he's by her bed again. He's like, man, I was bed. And he ends up seeing her her pillow. He's like, wow, smells kind of sweet, but it's kind of wet for some reason. It was wet. I'm not sure why it was wet for, but it's like really sweet. and then you can hear her walking in. He's like, oh crap! So he not stop looking at stop sniffing her pillow and whatnot. And so she comes back with the first aid kit, and she's like, okay, turn around so I can put this on you. And so as they're dabbing it on each other, well, on him and everything. Yeah, as that was all going on, they end up she still seemed kind of like off, but he can still see her naked still, and he's like, oh crap and everything. And I think he ended up tasting her spit again. And like I said, he started feeling like real foggy and stuff like that. And he's like, he kept feeling foggy. And he's like, okay, you know what? I gotta get out of this house. I gotta go. And Rob is like, wait, don't go. I want you to stay. I haven't treated your wounds yet. And because she still felt bad about the whole cutting thingy. Yeah. And so then as that was going on, he's like, no, don't touch me. And he's like trying to, because he didn't want to try to hug her, and he didn't want the whole scissors thing to happen and stuff. He's just trying to avoid her, which is good, but you shouldn't push her. He ends up pushing her, and she ends up falling on the bed. And then he's like, oh crap! He felt bad because he's pushed her. He's like, okay, I'm sorry. And he starts trying to come over there, and all of a sudden he ends up stepping on the first aid box, tripping over that. So he's trajecting right on her. So he's gonna fall all right on her, but he's like, oh no, if I do this, I'll get scissors, and it's not gonna be good. And so he's like, I'm gonna change my trajectory. And so he tries to do that. Bad turn. He ends up turning and hits his head right on the freaking bed, the bed spring thing. It's just the rail for the bed spring. That was not good. He's bam. It was like, I'm like, oh, I had to hurt. I don't even know how he not like get knocked out off of that. Honestly, he felt like so hard on that. And so he had another wound on the same spot on his head. So they had to treat that and put this little band-aid on his head. And so this is where it goes into Oka and Ueno. They're at school, and he ends up coming to school with this band-aid on his head, and Ueno has the same band-aid on his head. I'm like, what happened to him? What? And so they explain this. Oka was like so enthralled by the whole scissors cutting thing from Urabe, and so she was trying to imitate her and trying to heal him, and like wanted to test. Well, she first wanted to test it, and then she wanted to heal him, because the first time she did it, bad. She's all spinning like, and then threw up in the air, right in the middle of his head. I'm like, come on, you could have killed him or something. And then so she's like, okay, let me try again. And she was trying to cut out little pieces for the little band-aid thing part, and she's using scissors. And she's all, hey, I'm like, well, come on now, come on. Just stop. You can't be a Robbie. So, yeah, so that's how he had that little bandit on his head. And he's like, so what happened to you? And he's like, stuff hit my head on something. No, nothing big. And so then this girl ends up coming by. Her name is Sawano or something like that. And he has something to do with that club, basically. And she's part of that club. And then she saw that little thing on top of Tsubaki's head. And she's like, oh, it's coming off. She just took it off and then put a band-aid on. And, yeah, it's like she just took it off like just randomly fast, and then Urabe saw that, and she's like, what the heck? Wait. And then she ends up taking Tsubaki and just leaving. Like, come on now, you couldn't even do anything. But then he ends up asking for the thing back, and she's like, no, I'm just gonna throw it away. It's okay, I'm gonna throw it away. And he's like, no, I kind of want it. And so then he ends up coming after school. School's over and everything, and he has the bandit thing back on the patch thing that Robbie put on back on his head. So it's back on there, not that the band-aid's gone. And so he's like, well, you treated me with this, and I wanted to keep it on my head, and wish I can keep it on forever, because it's something that you made and you helped me with and everything. That made her really, 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 really blushy. And like I said, this whole episode is about Tsubaki wanting to hug Urabe and everything. So at the end of this episode, which is really sweet, is they're walking from school, going back home and everything like that. He ended up taking the intake of a spit from her again. But then he started feeling kind of weird. He's like, I can't hold it. And he's trying to put his hand around her. He's like, as he had it's funny too. He's like, as he had his Robbie's finger in his mouth, he's like trying to hug her at the same time. And so he was about to go for the hug, but then she actually jumped in towards her, towards him, and actually hugs him. And I was like, oh, and they actually hugged each other. I was like, oh, that's just cute. That's cute. So I was just like, that's how you ended off right there. Their relationship is getting more and more strong as the day come. Like I said, Tsubaki was having like these weird dreams and just weird. Like their dream in this episode was weird, but he was remembering the softness of the hug and everything. But he just loves them and they love each other. It's really good to see. But the next episode is very, very interesting. It's the last episode, and it seems like they're gonna break up. It seems. I don't know, the way they were saying things. I was reading the subtitles. I'm like, what's gonna happen here? What's going on? I'm like, she said she wants to end it all, and I'm like, okay, like the episode was good, but this right here was like, what's going on? And so I'm just curious what's gonna happen next. And yeah, so it's been my Nazo no Kanojo X review. I was a little like off a little bit on this one because I accidentally tried to go too far, but then went back. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this episode here? Leave your comments below. Like if you like this review, and subscribe to my channel for some more Nazo no Kanojo X, aka Mysterious Girlfriend X reviews. So yeah, it's been the Thabreakmasta, and until then, break out.